Hey friends, it's time for another Friday Fun Fact, where I'll give you a neat little package of information that you might not have known before. It's Idiom Week, so let's take a few minutes to learn about these peculiar phrases. To start with, let's look at definitions. The word idiom is pretty old, from the 1580s, and traces its roots back to idios in Greek, which means particular to oneself. According to Merriam-Webster, there are 3 ways idiom can be defined, but we'll be talking about idioms in the sense of the first definition, which is an expression in the usage of a language that is peculiar to itself, either in having a meaning that cannot be derived from the conjoined meanings of its elements, such as up in the air for undecided, or in its grammatically atypical use of words, such as give way. Basically, it's an expression that doesn't quite mean what it does on paper. From this definition and a little inspection, you'll find that idioms are everywhere. From hitting the books to flying pigs to pipe dreams, idioms are a fundamental part of the English language, both spoken and written. But why do we use them? Well, there are a few good reasons. In writing, idioms help express complex ideas in a simple way, and are great tools to clue your reader into the point of view and location of your characters. But why use them in speech? Some have the opinion that idioms are lazy, prepackaged ideas to pick and choose from, but these people are wrong. Idioms, to paraphrase Emerson, are essentially the fossilized poetry of language. They're little stories, frozen in time, that have cultural significance long after the original meaning has faded. Take biting the bullet, for example. Now used to mean doing something that you have to do, but don't really want to. It traces its significance back to when wounded soldiers would bite down on bullets to avoid screaming during wartime surgeries. The gruesomeness has faded, but the core meaning remains. They're markers of shared cultural experience, a way of creating linguistic intimacy between speakers. An interesting tidbit about idioms from a wonderfully titled JSTOR article is that idioms are usually very limited in how they can be used syntactically. For example, the phrase "when pigs fly" isn't usually switched around to just "flying pigs" like I referenced earlier. You probably knew what I meant, but it wouldn't be used like that in an actual conversation. Changing the words around kills the idiom. However, newer idioms have more leeway with this, and can do things like switch back and forth between active and passive voice without losing the meaning of the idiom. There's a great example of this in the article that I'll cite, but as with a lot of modern idioms, it involves curse words and I can't say those on the internet. Idioms are wonderful linguistic tools, but they do have some disadvantages. They can be very localized, so an idiom largely used in the South might not have the same meaning or meaning at all up here in New York. In this way, they could potentially highlight differences rather than shared experiences. They're also a major stumbling block for people learning English, because you need to know both the individual words that make up the phrase as well as the meaning behind it, which usually isn't readily apparent. And that's on top of the fact that English is really 3 languages in a trench coat. It's one of those things that you don't realize you're using until someone points it out. So next time you're chewing the fat with a friend, keep track of how many idioms you use. It's probably more than you'd think. I've cited my sources below, as well as a journal article from JSTOR if you'd like to delve deeper into the linguistics aspect of idioms. All you need is a free JSTOR account, and right now they're letting you read 100 articles a month. Perfect if you're like me and suddenly need to know how cats were domesticated at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Before we go, starting next month, we'll be changing our release schedule to every other week instead of each week. This way we can make sure all of our videos are the best they can be and get enough sleep for work the next day. Like and subscribe for more Friday Fun Facts, and I'll see you soon.